What's going on, everybody? This is Ray Rawlins from the Ray Rawlins Network, and I'm with Mr. Alex Payne. Today, we are reviewing a recently released episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, and today's episode is Senior Discount. Now, Alex, what are your first initial thoughts on this episode as we get into the whole routine of doing these videos as we usually do? What are your first initial thoughts?
Well, I would say, because when I heard the title, I honestly didn't know what the episode was going to be about. So I was kind of surprised to see what it actually is, or was, or whatever you want to say. So that was my first thought. It's like, oh, so this is what the episode is about. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just was like really curious what the episode was to be. But
Okay.
so that was my first thought. What was your first thoughts?
I thought I'm in a sense right there with you. Like, I honestly thought it would have had to do something with either Mr. Krabs, like back in the old days when they had that episode of Mr. Krabs getting old and whatnot. You're old, and I thought it was either gonna be on him or maybe it was gonna be SpongeBob's grandma, since we've seen her a lot. But funny
I
enough,
thought it was gonna be. I thought if it could be anything, it would have been like um, somehow Mr. Krabs realized it, like he was gonna do a scheme where like he'd have a senior discount because a lot of old people would come in, and he would make more money or some shit like that. That's what I was thinking it might have been about.
that might be an episode that they have planned in the future. Honestly, um, all right, let's give the people a general consensus. How are you feeling? Are you feeling like this is a decent episode, or how are your thoughts on? Are they like, this is a decent episode, or this is feels like an episode from the old days? How are you thinking in that sense?
I think this episode was all right. Now, see, I don't know if it's from exhaustion or what, but like I'll say this: I did not laugh a single time from the episode. Not once. Like there was not a single point where I
I
laughed in
can't
the
say
episode.
that. I did laugh maybe once or twice. It didn't feel like it was a big laughing fest like Gary and Spot, but I did laugh a couple times. But
Yeah.
we're gonna get into final ratings and all that a little bit later. Give them a little general breakdown of the episode. Let them know what this episode was about.
Well, this episode was pretty simple. Mr. Krabs was complaining to SpongeBob about old man Jenkins. You know, what do you call that when people just hang out in a restaurant for hours on end with no
Loitering.
real yeah
I think
loitering
that's it.
like yeah I think you're right like he's basically telling SpongeBob that old man Jenkins is always loitering and using the senior discount to get a small coffee and just hang out in the restaurant all day. So Mr. Krabs goes to great pains to try to keep him out of the restaurant, and that's pretty much what the episode is about. It's a
Okay.
pretty simple concept.
Yeah, pretty simple in theory. All right. And per usual, we'll get into the moments which you liked or disliked in the episode.
Um, Honestly, that's a difficult one to answer. I thought I thought the whole here's my grandfather thing was funny was well not funny. It was interesting at first and it was like,
It
that's
was
cool, whatever.
cheesy. I didn't like that. I'm be
I
honest.
like no,
Like,
I liked it the first time. Like when Mr. Krabs pulled up with his father and was like, he's older than you, whatever. I was like, okay, whatever. But once they started getting to like the Ouija board and all that, I was just like, yeah, this
yeah,
is
yeah. It's
nah.
they kind of were overdoing it with that. And then
Because like a big rule of comedy is threes. Like you do a joke or build on a joke three times and then it's over. Like they was in the fifth and sixth time at that point.
right, yeah. Then that's the thing with that whole episode. Like, if anything, I would be like, man, this they shouldn't have done is that whole little thing right there. And then to have them and like with the whole ghost being like, oh man, we don't come to the living world often, da da da, woo woo woo. And then they were like, you know what, we're gonna use this time to enjoy ourselves, and they basically take over the whole spot. And they start dancing and whatnot, all this goofiness. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm
They
not
took
feeling it.
over the Garian spot.
I guess you can say that. I guess you can say that. It's just like in Mr. Krabs and Old Man Jenkins, they just end up at the chum bucket. They're like, man, they're giving Plankton hell now. Respect your elders, this and that. The whole number one catchphrase of
I
this
thought
episode.
Mr. Krabs and Plankton were the same age.
They are. Technically, they are.
So that kind of, the question, actually, to rewind, one of the first thoughts I had was, I don't remember Mr. Krabs, I don't remember the Krusty Krab ever selling coffee.
Um, you know what? Now that you bring that up, I don't either. I don't either. There's a lot of things in this episode that are like, man, yeah, Mr. Krabs, like you said, never sold coffee. And funny enough, soon as they cut to the chum bucket, I'm like, oh man, I know they were gonna do respect your elders. Mr. Krabs and Plankton are the same age from that old SpongeBob episode, like what was it, 10, 12 years ago, where they were back in what was it called, Friend or Foe, right?
I
When him
think
and
so.
Plankton, when it showed him and Plankton growing up. So yeah,
Yeah.
and it's kind of messed up. Like they really dropped the ball. I wouldn't say dropped the ball. They needed to conclude the episode some way. But it's just like, okay. I mean, it was a pretty quick and cheap little ending. And I wasn't a big fan of that, honestly.
But then
But
again,
a
I guess in
couple,
hindsight, you could say maybe he wasn't necessarily saying it for him, but saying it for and with along Old Man Jenkins.
right, and that's probably what they were going for with that anyway. But for a 10, 15-minute episode, you gotta have them create a quick little storyline to have an ending to go along with it and whatnot. And they accomplished that, I suppose. One of the moments that made me laugh, because this kind of plays to me too, was when SpongeBob was over here trying to clean up the money and whatnot. Because Mr. Krabs was getting all upset of Old Man Jenkins, and SpongeBob ends up getting launched into him. He's like, "Oh, Mr. Krabs, what's the matter? Is it too much money? I'll get rid of it." And he starts like picking it up, and I think he started eating it. Mr. Krabs straight up smacked him in the face. Boom! No, don't mess with my money. And that made me laugh. I'm like, man, I would have done the same shit. He's like, what's wrong with you? So that was one of the moments that made me laugh in
Y'all
that one.
cheap bitches.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a proud cheap motherfucker though. But let's get into the final ratings. What are your thoughts on this episode?
Um,
Your
I,
final
I think
thoughts and ratings.
I think this I think this episode might just have to toe this L and go with like a 5 or 6. Because I really
I
didn't
think
think it was nothing special at all.
right. Yeah, I'm kind of right there. And I hate to give this episode like I'm going with a 4.5 to a 5. I really wasn't feeling this one. I mean, it had its moments, but it's just like, man, a lot of stuff just felt cheesy to me. And I hate it breaks my heart to do that to a SpongeBob episode because I love SpongeBob, man. I don't like giving bad grades on anything, man. But hey, it's what's fair because I legit didn't enjoy this episode. The ending, I think, what really did it in like the whole like the beginning. Okay, yeah, it's started off pretty reasonable, but the thing that really took away with it was the whole ghost thing. That's what really took away from it. And then that crappy ending with the huge plot hole that I noticed immediately that they were gonna do. Yeah, respect your elders. Oh, Mr. Krabs and Plankton, they're the same. So you know what? I mean, like I said, I hate to do it, but I'm gonna give this episode a 4.5 out of 10. Like I'm not a big fan of it. So you said
So
you
you're
gave
saying
it a
it's
what?
not. So you're saying it's on the bad side then. Because I see
I wouldn't.
because obviously,
Five is a
because like,
neutral. Yeah, five is a neutral
yeah, 5
point.
is the midpoint. 5 is the midpoint, and anything above means, you know, inching closer to good, and anything below is inching closer to bad. So you're saying it's on the bad side,
Right.
not. No, I'm asking, so like, because it's not terrible.
No, I know,
And
I know, I
and your
know. It's
rating
not.
doesn't mean
It's
it's
not.
terrible.
No, no,
Because your rating is
obviously.
just like, it's just above bad. I mean, it's just below decent.
I'll say, I'll give it a nice 5 then. Like, because I'm sure, and no, I know for a fact there's definitely some worse SpongeBob episodes out there that I'm really not feeling. But this
Yeah.
one, like I said, the whole ghosting and like that little ending is sticking out to me like a sore thumb, and I wasn't feeling it for this one. That's for sure. So I'm gonna give it a nice even 5 out of 10. Because you're right. I put it in the neutral zone.
Yeah.
It's not worse.
Yeah.
It's not worser than any other episode out there. Like I say, which one's a good one to say is worse than this? Would you say that the
The
Sun Fun
Splinter.
Island's worser?
I'd
Which
say
one?
The Splinter.
No, I think the Splinter one was okay. Where SpongeBob gets a splinter. I think that one. Now I had to rewatch it if I want to judge it from a critical point, but I think I enjoyed that more than this, honestly. So I'm
Well,
I'm gonna give it an
yeah.
even 5. What about you? What about you?
I think I'm gonna give it a. Yeah, I think I was gonna give it like a 5.56, but I think I'm gonna stick with a 5 because I wouldn't say it's good at all or bad at all. It's just, well, I guess you can make that. You know what? I'm gonna give it a 5, a light 5.
Okay. All right. All right. So they're on the same scale as me.
Yeah,
All right.
a very light 5.
I feel bad we had to do that, man.
I don't.
I
You
know
gotta
it's
be
not gonna. I know
honest
it's not
about the
gonna
episode.
affect the episode. I know it's not gonna affect the episode really, but I don't know. I don't like giving bad ratings.
But hey, think
I
about this. What's the point of reviewing it if you only give it a
right.
ring? Because
You're
if you give
right. You're
all of them
right.
positive reviews, then there's no point doing
Right.
it.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. But I'll tell you guys this: Friday, we got a good classic episode of SpongeBob that we're gonna be reviewing, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it, man. Oh man, it's a good classic. Everybody's gonna enjoy it. But with that all being said, I'm Ray Rawlins. He's Alex Payne. This is the modern SpongeBob review tomorrow. Futurama episode 2, Wednesday. I don't know which anime or cartoon we're giving our first impressions of, but Thursday, hopefully the Getting Color podcast will be back, and Friday, the classic SpongeBob review. So, with that all being said, we will see ya when we see ya. Hit that like and subscribe button too. Peace.